And now it's time for another rant from Reiwa Gaming Matt. Hi again, guys. Matt here, and it's time for a little bit of a rant, a little commentary on something that I just saw on YouTube, a video that really got me interested in wanting to talk about this subject. And so here we go. I'm going to be like just completely out there with what I feel about this subject. So there are a lot of great YouTubers I watch about video games, and one of them is a man named Arlo. Arlo is a Nintendo-focused YouTube creator and does a lot of videos on Nintendo Switch, and it's a really fun channel. And if you've never seen any of his videos, I absolutely highly recommend you see it. He's very popular, of course, and has a lot of viewers, so I'm sure many of you have probably seen his work. Now, today, he did a video on what he called the deafening silence on Nintendo. Uh, as we all know right now, Nintendo's been very quiet this year for obvious reasons. For obvious reasons, of course, being that we're dealing with this horrific, terrible virus situation around the world. And because of that, a lot of companies have had to make changes in the way they do business, the way they run businesses. And the video game industry is no exception. The video game industry has seen this entire year basically be completely uprooted and changed. Games being delayed repeatedly, games getting releases pushed back almost until next year, conferences being completely canceled, like E3 was canceled this year, and pretty much every video game conference was canceled this year, and everything moving to an online announcement situation. We've even seen Sony and Microsoft have to deal with the fact that they're launching brand new systems in this new era where they have to do these large digital presentations that have been both good and bad, as we saw last week with Microsoft and a couple weeks back with Sony. Now, Nintendo also has had to deal with this situation, and they've been very quiet as of late with regards to their own releases. And what we have seen is that they have said that they're trying their best to get their games out this year, that they have said that COVID will probably not impact much of their stuff this year, although there's been also words that it might affect it later on. I can tell you that I've seen video companies, people here working from home, of course more often because they have to, because the virus is very much a really difficult situation right now, especially in Japan with the recent peaks and pikes of I guess you can spikes, I should say, not pikes, of cases. So Nintendo has been kind of quiet. And really, in the last few months, we've only gotten one big announcement, and that was Paper Mario, which came out of nowhere. And they made that announcement, and the game came out recently. I just started playing it, and I'm liking it so far. I know there's a bit of a different feeling by some people who happen to like the Thousand Year Door, but I've never played that game, so I don't have an opinion on that. And then, of course, they did their Nintendo Direct, which I talked about a few weeks ago, their Direct Mini for their partner programs, their partner companies. And that was fantastic. They did a great job with that, I thought, and particularly the Japan one. They showed us new footage of Shin Megami Tensei 5, the long-running series that we've been waiting for the new one for. They also showed us the fact that Nocturne, the third game in the series, is coming as an HD remaster. They showed us some other games like that that've been announced, Atelier Ryzer 2 and the Densetsu Momotaro series. Like, I always tongue twisting there. They've shown us new games, and they. You remember this year they've released some big stuff. They've continued the Smash Brothers DLC, which is great. They've released Animal Crossing, the biggest game all year. It's not even a question. This is like the big hit of this year. It's like one of the biggest selling games you can imagine, and particularly in Japan, it's the biggest game of the year by far. Nothing comes close to it. They also released, of course, the remasters of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Sharp FE, and Xenoblade Chronicles. But since especially this whole virus thing started, and after Xenoblade came out, all we've had from them is Paper Mario. And Nintendo's been very quiet. And they even said that they're not planning any big directs anytime soon for this, because of this virus. They told third parties to go ahead and announce games because, there wasn't going to be a big direct to put it on. But they are planning on doing more smaller ones. So the big argument from the video that came from it is that this silence is really bad, and that the silence is not good for Nintendo right now. It's not good for their company. It's not good for their fans because it makes everyone frustrated, makes everyone anxious, and really, disappointed in Nintendo. Especially in a time when Sony and Microsoft are about to launch their new systems and are having these big digital presentations showing off tens of games, 20 games each. So I think it was 22 and 23 for games that were shown on the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 game showcase, and those were huge announcements for those companies. But Nintendo's been quiet. They've only announced one game all summer, and it's already been out. And so people are like, well, where is Nintendo? Well, I'm going to say something that's probably a little controversial, a little bit different. I think the silence right now is probably the best thing for Nintendo. Nintendo has done something really interesting the last few years that I really, really like, and that is that they don't announce something, with some exceptions. Obviously, Metroid Prime was one of them, and of course Shin Megami Tensei 5, because that was the third party. But they usually don't announce something until they're pretty ready to show it, and they like to hype up things when they're about ready to go. When the game's going to come out in 6-7 months or a year from now, they want to give people that chance to have that hype in a nice small package. They also like to surprise people. They like to make people wait for that direct, and because people become very anxious and very excited, like, oh, it's the direct coming. And when the direct comes, then everyone goes insane on the internet. Nintendo has really pioneered this whole way of talking on the internet towards their gamers, because they can build the excitement, and they know that frustration, while it is frustrating, once they unveil what they have, people are going to be very happy. And that's what Nintendo always does. Every time there's a direct, I get really excited, and when I finish watching a direct, I'm always happy with what games come out. And you know what? If it's a mini direct, I don't mind either. 10 minutes, a couple of games announced, and if it's all third parties, that's fine. That's fine. Because you know what? It's not about quantity, it's about quality. And one of the things that Nintendo does very well is that they showcase a lot of quality games on the Nintendo Direct. And they showcase those games when they're ready to be showcased. And I think that right now, if Nintendo's not ready to showcase these games, that's fine. If they're not ready to announce anything, that's fine. They have so much that they can fall back on right now that they don't even have to worry about it. Right now, if you look at the sales charts numbers in Japan particularly, Nintendo dominates everything. They dominate the hardware sales. They dominate the software sales. Usually the top 10 is almost always all Nintendo. They don't even have to worry about announcing anything new right now. People know Zelda's coming. People know Metroid is coming. We know that these games are coming. There's already been leaks about the Mario 3D game remakes. We know those games are coming. So why is it that they need to come out and really announce everything so quickly? Now, yes, I want to hear announcements too. I want to see games come out immediately. I want to see more information games from Nintendo. But I also hate it when companies, and this includes Nintendo, Metroid Prime especially, when they announce something months in advance and you don't see anything for it for another, like, maybe half year or a year or whatnot. I want to know when a game is ready. Tell me when you got it. Tell me when there's a release date. And show it to me then. That's the thing I like from Nintendo. So, like, for instance, if they announce a game and they say, oh, it's coming out in 4 months, I'm happy. I'm very happy because I know the game's coming. I know it's coming soon. If they announce a game, they say, oh, it's coming someday. I don't like that. And like I said, I'm not a person about quantity. One of the things that I felt about that Microsoft press conference last week that I talked about was they had, 22, 23 games. Very few of those games really interested me. Very few of them. And when I saw that there was one video that was done by Alana Pierce, I believe her name is, the game journalist, she was talking about how she can't believe that no one was talking about the fact that they were hyping Game Pass, that you were going to get all these games basically for free. Well, not really, because you have to pay $15 a month. But I was like, but I don't care. I don't care about any of these games. They don't look that great. And half the games, there was no gameplay. It was just a CGI trailer. Just because you're like, oh, you're going to get 25 games. If they're good, that's great. But if they're not, I don't care. It's all about quality. And Nintendo is about quality. And Nintendo will show when they are ready. And I will be there looking forward to it. Does it concern me that Nintendo has nothing to announce? Not particularly. Because I think Nintendo also knows another thing. Right now, gamers' minds, particularly in the West, where this whole Nintendo Direct stuff is becoming more of the big issue about people having to wait forever for it, it's everyone's minds on Xbox and PlayStation. They're all talking about Xbox, PlayStation, Xbox, PlayStation. Nintendo wants to wait a little bit, let them have their say, and when its time is right, when it's quiet, bam, they can hit it, and they can hit well. And let me tell you something right now. I fully expect Nintendo is going to be a very big competitor against these systems this fall. I think Nintendo is probably going to outsell them. Yeah, I think they will. Because when you look at the games that are available, and you look at the fact that Nintendo has a wide range of an audience that they've always catered toward. They've always catered toward an audience that's for adults and children and just gamers in general. They hit it well with all those markets. And right now, when you look at their software lineup, it is no doubt their software lineup is the best for the entire gamut of gamers. No doubt about it whatsoever. Yes, Sony and Microsoft have great games, fantastic games that I love. I'm a huge Sony fan, and I like Microsoft too. You know, even though I'm not a big Xbox fan anymore, I still like them. They have games I love, I'm looking forward to, I can't wait for. But you know what? Nintendo right now doesn't really have to worry about it. They have lots of games that people know are coming. They have lots of things people know are coming. And we will see things soon. Should Nintendo come out tomorrow with a direct? I hope so. I really wish they would. I wish they would be a little less quiet. We need to hear them, and hopefully we will hear from them very soon. But right now, sometimes they say the best news is no news is good news, or whatever. I believe no news is good news. I think that it's not completely the case here, but I do feel that it's better to be quiet and build anticipation, and build that anticipation so that once you're ready to showcase it, people are going to be excited. And yes, it is frustrating. It is frustrating because we want to see those new games. We've been waiting a year for something on Zelda. We've been waiting years for Metroid. We've been waiting months to get confirmation of these Mario games that are supposedly coming out. Who knows what else they got? You know, they have all these franchises that we still waiting for. We're still waiting for a Pikmin game. We're still waiting for Star Fox. We've been waiting decades for F-Zero. There's plenty they can announce, and hopefully they will. But I think that this constant worrying about Nintendo and their announcement strategy, I just think that really we need to just take a step back and say, hey, it's no big deal. It's not that big a deal, because it really isn't. In the end, it's just games. We're going to get the announcements, and we're going to get the games. And right now, especially, to be very worried about this in this current situation that we are in, which is a very difficult situation with this virus, and making people put themselves in a situation that makes things more difficult for them, working in an environment that could cause them to catch the virus, or working in in an environment to try to make a direct, is not the best thing right now. Nintendo will speak up. We will hear them. And you know what? I'm going to say something right now. This year, if you were to ask me, it's been a fantastic year for Nintendo. And I think they've had a great first half of the year. And the second half, we have a lot of question marks. But I just know that Nintendo's going to pull through. And so it doesn't really worry me that much. Would I love a direct right now? Were we really behind on one? Absolutely. But I don't want to see anything rushed. It's better that they get it right, get their messaging out there, and talk about what they want to talk about when they are ready. When they're not ready, then we're not going to get what we want, and we'll just complain. And hey, we love Nintendo. Who doesn't love Nintendo? Nintendo makes great products, makes great games. Give them the opportunity to talk. They will. And you know what? Just be patient. I mean, we all want new games. We're getting new games. There's great new games in the eShop every week. There's great indie titles. There's great third-party games. We're getting new games. So Nintendo can take a little more time than they need right now, especially in this difficult situation, to make things better. Do I think they're failing at the PR game, though? To be honest, no. Because we're making videos about this, talking about them not talking. And you know what? It keeps them in the limelight and in the scenery of the whole gaming public. Nintendo makes noise by sometimes not talking. And I think that's really, really important. Nintendo's is a very secretive company and has a lot of things up their sleeve. So for me, I think it's not that big of a deal. But I'm obviously looking forward to the next Nintendo Direct. Hopefully we get it soon. And I agree with Arlo. It would be. I think they need to speak up more, obviously. But I don't think that we need to worry too much about their messaging. They're going to get their messages out. And I think they're going to have a lot of surprises. I said earlier in the year, one of my predictions for this year was going to be that Nintendo will surprise us a lot with a lot of good stuff. They've done a great job of that so far this year, and I think they'll continue that. as time goes on. But those are just my thoughts. If you have any different thoughts about that, please put it in the comments. Like, subscribe, dislike if you don't like it. That's okay. And let's all hope that we have a Nintendo Direct soon. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Until later, take care. For more on the greats of Japanese gaming, keep it on to Reiwa Gaming Mat. And Nintendo, please bring out a Direct soon. Thank you.